Welcome to the Direct Line, the official podcast for OADSP. We're excited to have you here with us today, and if you have comments, suggestions, or if you want to join us in studio as a guest, reach out to me at podcast@oadsp.org. I'm David Rustio, and I would like to introduce today Kurt Miller to the program. Kurt, you're an outspoken and well-respected leader in the provider world, but DSPs across the state may or may not be familiar with you. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. Thanks for having me today. A little bit about myself is I've been in the field, actually found the field serendipitously.
Okay.
I had never met a person with a disability
Okay.
through my college years. Graduated, and just like most graduates, were looking for a job. While I was looking for the job, I stumbled on the title QIDP.
Okay.
QMRP back then. Mm-hmm. I had no idea what that meant, but saw what the qualifications were and applied. And I didn't meet them. I had the degree, but not the required 1 year of experience. But they did have a house manager position available.
Okay.
And they hired me for that. And I started on the floor working as a DSP, as a supervisor, and fell in love.
Right.
And I've been in the field ever since. And the reason I share that is, as I talk to other colleagues in the field, almost all of us have that same story, where it ends up becoming a calling and a profession and not just a job.
Right.
So, that's professionally how I ended up in the field. Personally, I have a wife, beautiful wife, Jennifer. I have 4 children, Drew, who's 22. I have twins that are 7, Jackson and Jocelyn, and then my little 4-year-old, which is Cadence. They keep me young, no question. A lot of people can't believe I have a 7 and 4-year-old. Well, 2 7s and a 4.
You know what causes that, right?
I do now, yeah. Okay. So, which is why my wife keeps me at an arm's distance all times. And then personally, outside of that, we do a lot of traveling as much as we can.
Great.
We try to go. We went cross country last year in an RV.
Okay. That's brave.
It is. The kids had a wonderful time and giving them experiences that, as a kid I didn't have.
Right.
So working on doing that, and we enjoy it. And then personally, I think something that's surprising is most people would never guess looking at me is that I played football in both high school and college.
Really?
Yes. So that's typically something I think that catches people off guard. As far as the organization, I'm fortunate to be the president and CEO of Empowering People.
Okay.
And we are an ICF provider, an IO waiver provider, and a day program provider for the state of Ohio. We approximately serve just over 700, 800 people a day, depending on attendance, all through the state. We are in 13 counties.
All right.
And on an average day, we'd like to have more, but we're at about 1,150 employees right now.
That's a lot of employees.
Yes, it's what keeps us going. Obviously, your reputation is built solely off the work of the direct support professionals and everybody within your organization. I think a lot of the times as a CEO, you may get the credit or you may get the blame, but it's really the work of the people that do it every day that make a difference.
It is, and they have an impossible job.
No question.
So that's a lot of employees. How many do you really need?
So we actually should be closer to 1,300.
Okay, so you're a couple hundred.
Yes. And we're about 150 short between full-time and part-time positions, and then possibly even some of the PRN positions that we would like to have to use while people take paid time off or other things that may come up in a given day.
Okay, so tell us a little more. You've given us a skimmed version, but tell us more about your organization.
Sure. So we are, as I mentioned, we do an ICF. We have 30 ICF locations that total 572 beds. And as I mentioned, that's in 13 different counties. Our largest ICF is a 92-bed facility.
Wow.
Down in Mason, Ohio. It's very unique in who we serve. Everybody there, out of the 92 people that we can serve, 91 use a wheelchair for ambulation. And the one person that doesn't, like I said, he's able to ambulate on his own. And everybody there is total care, fall within the severe to profound range.
Okay.
So the staff there truly have to have an angel's heart.
Sure.
Because you are literally, those people there, that require your assistance need you to complete every task of daily living and rely on people to give them any quality of life. And it's when you do a visit, and it's called Brookside Extended Care, when you do a visit there, you really get good insight into how unique and how caring and how loving direct support professionals are, especially the ones that do the job like that.
And talk about your waiver homes.
Sure. So the waiver homes were spread out. We were at our height over 100 through the state of Ohio. We're now under that now. We are at about 43 homes. And a lot of the reduction was through us combining sites.
Okay.
And also, unfortunately, providing notice to no longer be able to serve those locations based off the staffing crisis that has been going on for the last few years.
What happens to those homes, or what was your experience?
So in most of those, we've obviously been fortunate enough to help with the transition, but the county then is left to begin interviewing new providers, getting the family involved. The families complete the interviews, and they'll select a new provider.
Right.
If there's one that's able and capable of taking that location on. If there isn't, then those individuals are scrambling to find somebody on a day-to-day, or in a worst-case scenario, have to get moved into an ICF or a different facility for respite care, or even have to move back with their families to get services until they can find a provider that can meet those needs.
And a lot of DSPs have seen this happen, where there's not enough folks to take care of the clients that we're serving and have to give notice. But some of our listeners may not understand the staffing crisis and how that is impacting the care that we're able to give. Do you mind speaking on the staffing crisis?
Sure. So, as providers, we've seen this going on for about a decade. Slowly but surely, we've seen less and less people entering our field. Mm-hmm. A big part of that is it is very demanding work, and the pay is not commensurate with the amount of responsibility the direct support professionals carry.
Right.
So as we've seen that go, and then once the pandemic hit in 2020, it was accelerated.
Right.
As people began to hunker in, work from home, and not be in the community as much, truly only the healthcare workers were the ones that were faced to continue coming to work each and every day and actually put themselves on the line. Because when it first started, nobody really knew what COVID was going to do.
Sure.
And it was very scary. At that initial thing, that's what led to the, kind of work at home, don't go back to the office settings, and all those other changes that occurred in our society. But with our system, that was not an option. We couldn't let our direct support professionals or the rest of us and nurses say, stay home and we'll figure out what to do, because every building or every home still had the individuals living there. So the staffing crisis was exacerbated by that. And then when people started to come back, wages rose at an astronomical level, because trying to get people to come back to work, you needed good wages to catch their attention and get them willing to come back. ICFs in our field, the DD system in general, is 100% Medicaid funded.
Right.
So absent an investment from the state, we were unable to compete.
Right.
And not being competitive in that market, and then all the responsibility that they carry, made recruiting new employees almost impossible.
Right.
Then what we started to see that we hadn't in the past, we started losing our veteran staff in the system. People that had been in the system 5, 10, 15, 20 years. When you see $20, $25 an hour
elsewhere,
at a Starbucks or even fast food places, and then you see our average wage at the time was $13.46, I believe, through the state. It became a what's best for my family decision.
Absolutely.
And then when you lose those individuals, the issue you have is those are typically the ones that hold your agency together. Those are the ones that you could count on if you needed overtime, if you needed somebody to come in extra. Those were the ones that always stepped up. So once you started to lose them, then a crisis is what started to happen. And I think that's why you heard so many providers bringing that up.
And overtime in a facility, in an agency like yours, only gets people up to the price that McDonald's might be paying down the street. I know our McDonald's has had signs up recently for $18 during the day and $20 something if you worked third shift, worked the the drive-through at third shift. And in those cases, you don't have to keep someone alive. Right. Now, in the ICFs, you have nurses. You have nurses. Are they passing all the meds and taking care of all of those kinds of that kind of work?
So not in every location.
Okay.
It depends on the type of people we serve. For example, the home that I shared earlier where there's 92 individuals, we have 3 nurses on shift there because of all the different care that's needed.
Sure.
But in the vast majority of our homes, the DSPs do.
Right. Through
delegation past the medications, as well as the other plethora of duties that they're responsible for in a day-to-day basis. Like I said, our largest is 92. Our smallest home is 5.
Okay.
So to be able to support a nurse financially around the clock for 5 people, you can't. So you have to rely on the direct support professionals even more so in the smaller locations.
Right. And DSPs know it, but some of our listeners may not understand that our DSPs actually pass medications, and outside of our industry, it's nurses. And yet we're not compensated like nurses are. We have to go through training and be prepared, but the compensation does not match the duty. And that makes it tough for recruiting and hiring. Oh, we need to take a breath. This has been kind of deep, so
okay.
It's okay. What needs to change in the industry to make things work?
Wow.
And to be healthy in the future.
Yeah, so that's a pretty deep question.
Yes.
I think it's going to take a global approach.
Okay.
And I think the first change that we need to see is an investment from the state in the wages of the direct support professionals specifically. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't want to see wage compression, so I think we need to address them all. Obviously, if you have DSPs that start to make more money than nurses, then it's going to be the nursing crisis we're talking about.
And there's already one.
Exactly. So we need to see an investment that goes to that entire direct care component, if you will, that rewards and properly compensates people for the work they do. We are not a system that can just say, okay, we're not going to do this anymore. Because as I said, those individuals will still be in their homes requiring this care. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the first thing that has to happen. And we're 100% reliant on the state government to do that and the federal government. We can't just go to our residents and say, hey, I want to charge you an extra $10 a day and pass that to the employees. From there, I think it needs to be a greater partnership with the Department of Disabilities.
Okay. Talk about that.
Yeah. So for a long time, in my experience, when I first started, the relationship with the department seemed very one-sided.
Okay.
And there was a lack of trust for most providers.
All right.
They always assumed we were not doing things right. Almost every rule that came out immediately said, this is the rule, and if you don't follow it, this is what we're going to do.
Right.
And, in my experience, you should put the rule out, expect people to follow it.
Sure.
And then from there, if there's follow-up that's needed, that should be done individually. It shouldn't be something that's, broadcast and actually included in the rule. And I know people want to know what the penalties are, but in most cases, I think that sends a message of, we already know you're not going to do this. Here's what we're going to do. Now, that has improved greatly over the last several years. And it gives us hope that as we look in the future, that's going to continue, and it ends up being more of a partnership.
Right.
Instead of something that is punitive in nature. And that, like I said, that has given me great hope in the last few years, seeing that, where they reach out to providers, ask for our insight. The other thing that comes up in these rules is you may have 1 or 2 providers that fail at a certain task.
Sure.
And then it immediately leads to a rule change.
For everyone.
And, to not be over responsive when you have one of those situations occur. Right. Because it doesn't mean, just because 1 or 2, doesn't mean all the others are doing it. For the most part, I think that's one area the pandemic did point out for providers. There were no surveys during that time. Mm-hmm. There were not people visiting during that time. We were pretty much on a lockdown. And coming out of the pandemic, when they did the surveys, they saw we could be counted on.
Right.
There were there was no change in the negative outcomes for individuals. We did what we were supposed to do even when we didn't, or we knew nobody was going to be coming in the building to serve us.
Right. Most
providers inherently want to do what's right.
Sure.
And that belief will be huge moving forward, I think, as a change in our system.
And that's a good thing from the pandemic. It's hard to come from being looked at all the time to having some freedom. And it doesn't make sense that if I'm a provider that fails, right, that your agency gets punished for my failure. And punished might be the wrong word, but the department really could work to support the drawbacks of one organization without taking it out to everyone.
Agreed.
And that is a change that we've needed and hopefully will continue. There needs to be some trust. And with the staffing crisis, it's just going to be harder for us to meet the little things. In an organization that I support, had a conversation with the people that are going out and writing or working with the development of ISPs, and I said, don't agree to anything you can't do. It doesn't matter how much the SSA pushes or the family pushes. We have to say no if we don't know that we can do it. Not every organization will take my advice on that, but why promise something, that you aren't sure that you can deliver? Okay, I'm not supposed to be talking. This is your role.
I think that was great insight.
So direct support professionals, our DSPs, are the backbone of the industry and deliver life-changing services. So what are some of the challenges that your DSPs face?
So I believe the first challenge that I would put on that list would be the decision to stay in the field at this point, kind of based off what we discussed earlier. They're now faced with, if they've been with us 10 or 15 years,
right?
They might be lucky enough to make what McDonald's is starting people at.
Sure.
So it becomes a decision that they have to make is my commitment, is my heart more important than being able to provide for my family financially? And I believe that has been, like I said, exacerbated in the last 6 months to a year. Right. Because, like I said, as wages have exploded, we haven't been able to remain competitive.
Right.
From there, I think it's the other challenge that they face is for lack of a better term, the scrutiny they face every day. Mm-hmm. Most places where you work, if you make a mistake, you're given an opportunity to correct it. Right. McDonald's, for example, you make the wrong sandwich, somebody comes in and complains, you make a new sandwich.
Right.
You stock something incorrectly working in a store, you move it and put it in the right place.
Right.
If our staff, if our direct support professionals make a mistake, they end up with the police called on them. Right. They end up on an abuser registry. There's a lot of different punitive things that occur that scare people out of the field. Sure. We had a story very similar to that where we had a DSP that was just starting. She had never worked in the field before. She was assigned to a one-on-one, and this person had pica, so they would eat objects that were not edible. And from there, she saw a piece of trash on the ground, not thinking, got up, went to throw it away. Well, when she did, there was another napkin there, and the person ate it. So we had to report it, went through the county board, and immediately had to suspend her and notify the police because it was an alleged neglect. She was cleared through the investigation.
Right.
However, when we went to bring her back, she goes, I'm not working at a place that I get the cops called on me when I make a mistake.
Right.
And we never saw her again. And I'd believe that she probably didn't just leave our agency. She left the field.
Sure.
So that's another person that we won't be able to recruit. And I'm assuming told all her friends, oh, you don't want to work in this field.
Right.
Because of what happened to her. I think we all agree that our best recruiters in our field are the people that are already direct support professionals.
Absolutely.
So we have to do everything we can to make them feel supported so that they are out there saying, hey, this is a wonderful job. Mm-hmm. It's a great job. You make a difference. You need to come do this.
And the great DSPs will say when they make a mistake, they will report it. I worry more about those that don't. And so, but yet we punish those, or the industry kind of punishes those that are honest sometimes.
Agreed.
What else?
So other challenges I think that they face is just all the different hats that they wear. It's very hard, I think, to find balance when it comes to work life. And what I mean by that is our staff, when they take time off or it's a scheduled day off, right, we are immediately calling their phone because we're short the next day and we're like, hey, can you come in, David?
Right.
Can you come in, David? Right. So even when they're away from work,
yes,
they're not away from work.
Right.
And being able to give them that time to decompress, to be away, to enjoy their private life is something that I think is a huge challenge, and something that I know our agency, we do our best not to bother them. But with some of the staffing numbers that we were at some of our locations, it was impossible.
Right.
It was impossible not to call them on their scheduled days off.
You at least had to
them
ask.
Come in. Yes. And so finding that work-life balance, I think, is a huge challenge, especially in the situation that we're in currently in our system.
And even if they go out of town, sometimes they get called just, what would you have done? Or how can you help? Can you talk to the person that's there and talk them through this piece of work that needs to be done? So how do we change that? How do we give people the life balance and the life work balance that really is needed to make life good for our DSPs?
So it's a great question, and I'm probably going to end up repeating myself here.
Yeah.
But I think it starts with obviously being able to hire and recruit people so that the need to fill those shifts on the off days isn't there as much. So really the only days you're filling in are the days that people have scheduled time off or maybe call off sick.
Right.
And the way we do that to recruit and retain is what? Better wages.
Right.
To be able to hire better.
We can't.
And right now we can't. Now, I have DSPs within my organization that for the first time ever went to the State House this year and testified.
Good for them.
In front of the House. And I think they're starting to understand too. And I think other providers in our system have started to do that. Well, I know.
Right.
Have started to take more of an interest in the budget process.
Right.
Because that's where we're going to make a difference to be able to do those things. And I was extremely proud of the individuals that went from our agency, because not only did they do a great job, but they were the ones that were willing to take that chance.
Sure.
Because it's not easy to step up and talk in front of any crowd.
No.
It's even more difficult when you're in a formal setting like that,
right,
and you're at a podium and you have either the finance committee or the Health and Human Services Committee staring you down and possibly asking you questions after you finish your testimony. So it was a very proud moment for me as the CEO, and watching those individuals, and they were really fighting for themselves and their wages, and in turn fighting for the people we serve.
Right.
The people we serve, obviously, as we've stated before, rely on DSPs for basic health needs and basic daily living skills. And without them, like I said, they would be in dire straits.
And every DSP has a representative.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with every DSP in the state calling up and making an appointment to sit down with the representative. And it doesn't have to be in a scary place. I go see mine, Phil Plummer, good guy.
Yes.
At a local restaurant. And he will listen to me. The first time I did that, I kind of expected him to send a representative, but that isn't the case. He didn't know what we did. He had no understanding at that time what we did. And then when I shared, he said, I'm going to help you. What can I do to help you? If all of us did something like that, it could make a difference. Most people don't.
Yeah, it'll be. I think it is a change in our system that I think you'll start to see more of, and a lot of it's going to be centered off what we hopefully accomplish this year in the budget.
So, you've got a lot of DSPs in your agency. You don't have to give the name if you don't want, but tell us about at least one of those amazing people.
Yeah, if I name just one, I'm going to have about 600 of them throwing rocks at me. But there are a couple that stand out, and it's not they're the only ones. They're the ones that come to mind. So the one I mentioned, her name is Annette, and she's been with us 32 years.
Wow.
And she was one of the individuals I just shared that went and testified.
Okay.
She's amazing. She's got a few years left, and she's already told me she's going to retire. And we told her we don't accept retirement or any type of resignations from her. Right. So she's going to be hard pressed to get out of that place. We'll probably tie her down. But a little funny story about her is that one of our locations was in dire need of staff.
Okay.
To the point where they had called me, and they said, "Kurt, we have literally called everybody. We've called every agency. We don't have them." And I said, "Okay, what shift do you need?" And they told me the shift. So I was like, and this was a location that I lived 4 hours from. I said, well, put me down for the afternoon shift because I can't be there in an hour. So I jumped in my car and drove down there, and When I got there, there was me, there was my regional director, there was the administrator, and there was the DON. And then obviously the nurses that, were working on the shift. So we had 4 staff to take care of about 82 people.
Wow.
And we got some other ones in it. And Annette was one that she was on vacation that week. They called Annette. She got the message. She was literally driving home from vacation. Was supposed to be off another day before she came back. They got the message. She heard who was all there and the condition of the building, and immediately came straight in from vacation to work. And then that led a couple other ones when they heard of her commitment to come in, and we were able to meet the needs of the individuals that day. It's that commitment, and she's one example that we see on a daily basis when you talk about people may not understand what a DSP does. She's a shining example of what hundreds and hundreds do every day in the state, actually thousands, to take care of the people we serve. And they sacrifice their own time. They sacrifice their own health. They sacrifice family time to take care of somebody else's family and loved ones. And I think that's often overlooked when you talk about challenges. At times, if we don't take the time to thank them, it is a thankless job.
It is.
But it's so vital. And watching the individuals light up
right
when the DSPs come in, they're not happy to see me. As much as I would like them to be, they're not. They are happy to see the direct support professionals that come. And if one of them isn't there, they're not asking, well, why isn't Kurt here today? They could care less.
Right.
But if Annette's not there, they notice.
Right.
Or, the other person that jumps out to me is Kim. She works up in our Summit County location. She's been there 29 years.
Wow.
And she's another one that literally sacrifices almost every minute of every day. If there's an opening and we can't find somebody else, she is compelled to come in because she will not, for 1 minute, let a shift go unfilled. And both these individuals that I'm talking about and the extra time they put in, there's a big difference. And this is kind of a personal insight. There's times where you cover a shift.
Sure.
And there's times where you're working the shift.
Right.
And when you're in that crisis mode, which most of us have been in, we're covering shifts.
Sure.
These individuals, when they pick them up, they work them.
Right.
There's no drop off in work, no matter how many hours they've already put in that week. Their quality of work and their care of the individuals is no different. And like I said, they're shining examples of what the vast majority of our direct support professionals are and will continue to be in the future.
Those are wonderful. And I think that it probably says a lot to them when a shift is open and you go and work. I think that there's a good message there that the CEO will go and help out because you don't want services to go undone.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. The person it was the DON and one of the supervisors that ended up coming in and I worked with, and basically they're training me because it had been a while since I'd done some direct care. Like I said, I started in direct care, but it had been some time, and that's a very challenging home.
Sure.
Like I said, it's total care of all the individuals that live there, and watching them walk me through, and I said, you must really love bossing me around, and they said more than you know. So yeah, they did a wonderful job pulling me along, and I don't know how much of a help I really was, but they were spectacular, and I think it did. They still talk about it, and it's been some time. And I think it did make them understand that if push came to shove, they have the full support of our entire agency, not just the people that work at their home, but the entire agency.
This is going to be the hardest question I give you today.
Okay.
All right. What's your favorite dessert and who makes it best?
Oh, man, favorite dessert. Well, if I don't include my wife, I may not have a place to sleep tonight. So, but she does. My wife makes a dessert called an eclair.
Okay.
And it was something she had learned from her aunt. And when her aunt made it, I thought it was spectacular. And I'm going to give my wife some pretty big props here. When she learned to make it and started making it, it's even better.
Okay.
And it's a layer of like graham crackers. It's got some pudding in it. It's got Cool Whip and then like a layer of chocolate at the very top. And it's one that they know when they make it, they might get one piece and the rest of it comes to me. And it's a full, what is that? A 12 by 9 pan. I eat the whole thing, usually in about 3 days. So it's not something I share often.
Is that what you brought with you?
Yeah, there's some of it back there, but like I said, I won't share it. That's for my drive home.
Well, thank you, Kurt, for being with us today. I appreciate your time and wish you success and your organization success. And come visit us again.
Will do. Thank you so much, David. Appreciate it.
Have a great day. Thanks for listening, and join us next time on The Direct Line.